the regen pool, as in like how we deposit the Fae. So that's my intentions. As far as distractions, I'm gonna try to cat herd while you guys are doing intentions, and also at some point I'll have to go grab some water. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, my intentions for the call are to my intention to end for the ending of the call was to have everything parameterized and know clearly our next steps. And so, but like my specific personal intentions for the call are just like to hang out and see what Griff tells us to do and then have opinions. And I am not very distracted, but also I might work on other work if things are like not relevant to me. And I'm also recording the call. I'll pass it to Yas.
Thanks, Lauren. So intentions for me, pretty much similar to what Griff and Lauren already mentioned. I think for all of us, we would like to finalize this topic and parameterize fully for the pool. And as far as distractions, it's a little bit late on my end here, and I'm quite hungry, so I might take some time to eat in between, but I'll try to be as present as possible. I'll pass it to Giant Kin.
I just got done writing down my stuff. Good. Feeling pretty cool. My intent is to listen to this interesting call, and I'm still at work. I'm getting pings like everywhere I go, and I'm looking at D-Work. You guys might want to look at D-Work. It's really cool for your engineering system or your devs. Anyway, I got lots of things going on. I'll pass it to Todd.
Thanks, John Kin. Can you all hear me? Great.
Perfect.
So I've just been onboarding today. I spoke to Heather this morning, which was great. Speaking to Suga right now. So that was just a minor distraction early on, but I'm present now. Looking forward to really getting in, I think, to the parameterization and the, maybe not roadmap, but the process flow into creating these pools. So putting on my listening hat and looking forward to seeing what we can create together here. Kotabe, have you gone?
No, I'm the only one missing. My intention is to try to offer some help or support wherever I can, learn a lot from the pros at this, and my distractions must be any, because if I get distracted, I think that I could be potentially totally lost on this topic. So yeah, I'll try to stay focused.
Thanks, Kotabe, and I think that's everyone, right? So let's just dive in. I'll share screen. So I posted the Regen pool parameterization agenda doc into Give Economy channel, and inside there's another link to get to the spreadsheet where the real action is. This is the one agenda topic. Let's just go through the spreadsheet, and really part of this will be, let's look at what we have to parameterize. There are some things I left out that I figured, we just take Giant Kin's advice on, and there are things that I think we can really just decide right now. And then there are things that might be controversial that I think we will want to punt, put it in a forum post, and say, vote on these things just in the forum. I don't think it needs to be like snapshot, but just get consensus on where things are. And so that's kind of the three sectors. One of the things. Yeah.
Would it make sense to being Willie? He helped a lot last call, and I don't know if he has time at any time, like during this call, but maybe he can help.
Definitely. Willie said that he would be able to come, I think, for 2 half-an-hour slots of this 2-hour section. And I did send him the video link, or the link to this. So hopefully he can come.
Okay, great.
But yeah. So he said he would come in during those like 2 half-an-hour slots, I think. But when you have 2 half-an-hour slots, I know from experience, sometimes you need to go to the bathroom or you need to like eat. These things.
Life? What the heck?
Yeah, exactly.
And roughly in an hour, I usually leave and head home and get back on. Because, that's...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm only 3 miles away from the house, though, so...
Nice. Okay, that's cool, Giant Ken. So one of the things I want to first talk about and get consensus on in this call, that I think we already did, but whether or not... So in the last call, we I think it felt clean around, like, we just use the regen pool for this. We don't try to even make it a regen pool. It might be a regen pool someday later, but right now it's just a place where we deposit Phi and then deposit Give and borrow against. And so one of the things that we should decide is if we want to turn off all other options, or so that all people can do is we deposit Give and they deposit Fae, and there's literally nothing else that can happen. Or if we let it be a little, free, and if people want to deposit, wrapped ether and borrow die, that's enabled. Just a quick pass around on this. Personally, I think we should just turn everything off and only do the Fae thing, Fae and Give deposits. I'll throw it to Todd. What do you think?
I think from a risk perspective, not knowing kind of what other dynamics the additional deposits could create, I think shutting everything off except this specific function, I think would be probably the best way to start, at least. I will pass it to Yas.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm on the same page with this. No further comments. So I'll pass it to Lauren.
Yeah, same. I think it's more conservative to just like limit it to Give and Fae, and then there's less that can go wrong. These things seem dangerous. Anyway, I'll pass it to Giant.
Sorry, Jen. Oh, Giant Ken, you unmuted, but we can't hear you. We'll throw it to Kotabe first.
Well, detail to everything that everyone just said, especially with the news that we had last weekend with the exploit to issue. So, yeah.
GK, what do you say? Oh, GK is speechless. Sorry, Giant Ken, we can't hear you. So tragic. But when you come back, Giant Ken, I want to hear your answer to that, and then we'll just move on to some other things. So here in this spreadsheet, I'm going to give an overview of the spreadsheet, and in general, the things that are marked in blue are things that we can change. So like things that are they're just numbers, except for these two should not be blue, for instance. These should be green because they are calculations, and we actually changed those two, for instance, in this spreadsheet, where there's things that are blue that can change. So that's kind of there. Green are generally calculations that are worth noticing, and white is like whatever, I didn't highlight it. And then in here, yeah, it's the same thing. Blue are the things that we can change, and there's just a lot of data. So first, I'll just go one by one, and we can go through some of these parameters. There's like three big calculations that I think are worth playing. This one and the two on the APRs page. But then there's just a bunch of params that we should just kind of set. I made some initial thoughts here, and maybe I'll even just like add some columns because I only see two people in this spreadsheet. I really jump into the spreadsheet if you can, because then we can also add suggestions. Man, I hope Giant Ken, I hope you come back.
Is it back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you're back.
My whole system froze. It's like, man, right then.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh man, what was it?
The question was, do you think that we should leave lending and borrowing for other tokens open, or just make it?
Other than the gas cost, it doesn't matter to me. And it's just, and I didn't even think about it. It's kind of a good idea, really. It's just pain in the butt right now because the gas going up right when I'm trying to do everything, right? But yeah, other than that, that's good.
Cool. Well, we'll pay for the gas. I think it's cheap insurance. I'm glad to hear that's unanimous. Okay, so next one is we have a bunch of other parameters to discuss. The first one, and we'll just go one by one. The first one is FEI LTV. That is basically when you deposit FEI, how much can you borrow with it? Now, the fact is we're going to make it so you can't borrow anything besides FEI. So if we have a high LTV, what people will do, they will deposit FEI, and then they'll borrow more FEI, and then deposit it to earn extra rewards. And then borrow more FEI, and then deposit to earn extra rewards. Which is a fun game sometimes. I think it's cool and fun, but I don't think it's something we need. So I put this at 0%. And if anyone has a suggestion beyond that, please just put it in column D or E or F, and we can have some direct feedback that way. I don't think that's very debated. So if you guys you can debate me if you'd like, but I think it's pretty obvious we should do that. Admin fee. So the admin fee we will talk about more later in the next page. I don't want to pull that chart out yet, but basically who gets this very small amount of money that can be generated by borrowing and lending. And so it can either go to donation.eth or it can go to give.eth. So I think this is something that we should debate. Upgradability. This stops us from using it, from changing things in the future. I think that we should keep it upgradable and make sure that if we need to change things, we can. So if anyone disagrees, feel free to throw it in, but I'm pretty sure that's a yes. Yeah, a must. Cool. Reserve factor. So reserve factor is an interesting thing. It's this tiny amount of money that ends up going into a bucket that if there's a problem, the people who maybe Giant King, you can explain it. The people who lose their collateral can get this money back, right? Somehow?
It's just a way in case something goes wrong, we have a little bit of leeway. So it doesn't go wrong very far. But that's like everything's going right, but not quite for that one person. It shouldn't ever make a difference. We can always lower it later but that's the recommended by Rari.
It's 10%. Basically, yeah, and I'll talk about this when we get to the admin fee. This ends up being about $200 a month, which in my opinion is just not enough to do anything with, so it almost doesn't matter. Yeah. Interest model. This is like the actual curve, so I have it here. This curve, like what this curve looks like. And we chose the one that gives us the cheapest borrow rates and deposit rates. And then also goes up at the end. And so what this curve does is it actually, like when there's a lot of deposits or a lot of borrowing versus how much deposits there are, then it really increases the rate to attract more depositors. So we just went with the cheapest one.
Willie. Hey, Willie.
Hey, Willie.
Hey guys. Sorry I'm late. I had a last minute meeting pop up.
No worries, man. Thanks for jumping in. So one thing that I just want to confirm is like we were talking about that we're just going to shut off all functionality of the fuse pool other than exactly what we're using, which is the Fey deposit and the Give borrowing.
Cool.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I think we can always expand it later, but better to start with the simple need, and then we can revisit. Plus, I heard yesterday too that they're not even gonna be displaying like the partner pools on their UI after what happened yesterday. They had their post-mortem on the incident, and like one of the outcomes of it is that they're only going to display like on their own UI the pools that are managed by the tribe themselves. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah, and so we won't even use their UI. People will just deposit Fey, and that's the way. Other params that we discussed: Fey LTV at 0%. Where does the admin fee go? I think we're going to punt that and talk about it later. Also, by the way, this spreadsheet, if you want it, it's in the Give Economy channel. There's a Google Doc that will send you the link to the spreadsheet. Upgradability is a yes. Reserve factor basically doesn't matter as far as I can tell. It's like 10% is the default, and I honestly don't even think it's worth the gas to change it. Interest model is Fey. Assets that we'll let people use are Fey and Give. Fey supply cap. I think this is something that we need to calculate during this call, like what kind of Fey supply cap we get to. Admin fee. It's currently it's at 1. I was thinking that we up it eventually to 10%, but honestly, it doesn't. This is another one that just doesn't matter, because I believe the borrowers are the ones who pay the fee, and so basically, it's like how much of a fee do we want to send to either give.eth or donation.eth, because we're the only borrower. So almost doesn't matter. We might, depending on if it's donation.eth or give.eth. If it's give.eth, we're literally just sending the money to ourselves. So it just doesn't matter. Whitelist. We can't have a whitelist if we want anyone to be able to deposit Fey. Close factor. Giant Can or Willie, maybe one of you can describe what close factor is and why we'd want to pick what percentage we'd want to pick.
I think close factor, correct me if I'm wrong, is the amount of position that a liquidator can liquidate in a single transaction. I like 50%. That's pretty standard. And the reason for that is that, if we were, oftentimes if you do get liquidated 50%, your loan is no longer under collateralized. So it's nicer to whoever has the collateral in there to not lose all of their liquidity. If they don't have to, so.
Okay, that's interesting. So in this case, we're the ones depositing the Give. So we could actually make it, if we make it a small number, then they wouldn't be able to sell so much Give into the market at one time if everything goes to hell, right?
Yeah, a smaller number could be better for us. I don't fully understand like the implications for, I think a smaller number is better. And then if your loan is still under collateralized, then I think people can keep liquidating it, right? But there's just more of a chance that less will get liquidated and we'll get back into an over collateralized position.
So does anyone have any suggestions? I would maybe say 10%, and then they could only sell 10% of the Give that we deposit and then if we're still not collateralized, they could sell another 10% of what we still have there. And they could just keep going at 10%. What do you guys think?
I have to admit that I got lost. I didn't understand.
So when we deposit the Give, right, in a horrible situation where the value of our Give is worth less than what we're allowed to borrow, right? Yeah. Then we would then someone else, anyone, could basically send in Fey and get 10% of our Give. or something like that. Basically, there's some mechanic where they can liquidate us for our give.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and I think I don't know the exact details, but the question is how much of our give can they liquidate?
Sounds like the less the better.
Exactly, yeah. And I would just want to check that with Rari because I think that makes sense. But then I'm like, why doesn't everyone have just lower close factors and stuff? So we just want to see if there's any like implications that we're not considering. But if they sign off on it, I agree. 10% sounds great.
Cool. Okay, so those are like the basic params that I thought we could just blaze through. And I don't know, I want to make sure, does anyone have any questions or comments on these parameters? I'm just going to pass it around. Kotabe, you already had a good question, so I'll throw it to you. Do you have any more questions about any of these parameters?
No, so far so good. And I'll send it to Willie.
These all look good to me. Great work. I wouldn't change any. The other question? Sorry.
Yeah. Or if there's any questions about them in general.
I'll pass to
And
one.
then,
No questions. I'll pass to Todd.
Just, I think, formal clarification on that close factor, I think, would be my baseline to move forward. Giantkin.
Giantkin's deafened, so he can't hear us. He's probably leaving work or something. I don't know. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, likewise, no questions. Just maybe on that close factor topic, I've been looking around into other pools as well, and the lowest that I came across was roughly 50%. Although I cannot say I've been looking into all of them, so there might be some exceptions if they went lower. So again, like kind of like seconding Willie with his comment that let's check it with the Rory guys.
Great. Okay, cool. Okay, so then that's everyone because Giant Kid's deafened. So let's move on to the more exciting stuff, which is APRs and how much we want to borrow and all of these things. So one thing that we won't know exactly how much we need to borrow exactly because we really need to understand how much give tokens we need to deposit for the one give collateralization. And that's like a missing variable that can affect our market cap. And we also don't know what the give price will be. So these two factors kind of, we're going to target 10% of our market cap. And I'm estimating right now, or I think the best thing that we should use for estimating is about depositing about borrowing about 1 million. So like 1 million Fei. So let me delete these rows. So another variable that we want to figure out is how much do we deposit to borrow that 1 million Fei. So if I did this little math, this little calculator, so that if we change this, for instance, the give LTV, it changes the liquidation percent. And if we change this, so like, question is, how much collateralization do we want to provide? So if we, and the LTV. So we have to kind of pick the both at the same time. So if we say, hey, we want to start off with 400% collateralization to borrow 1 million give, then we would need to put up $4 million worth of give tokens, right? 400% of what we would get liquidated at. And if the LTV is 50%, we would get liquidated at 10 cents, right? And so we can change the LTV here, and that you see the liquidation is now 7 cents. And we can also change the collateralization, and that shows that we are borrowing less, or we're depositing less. Market cap goes down. That's a good thing. Liquidation goes up. That's a bad thing. Optics go down a little bit because collateralization is nice, a nice buffer. So this is kind of I kind of like a 75% LTV because we're controlling this ourselves. And then this give collateralization. So like it's kind of a high LTV, but it's not 85%, it's 75%. Kind of a high LTV. It's the same as MakerDAO and Ether. It's about this 150% collateralization. But it is pretty high so that we don't have to put in so many give tokens. And the nice thing here is we're the only lender. We're the only depositor. So we don't have to worry about people being dumb and under collateralizing themselves. But we can't be dumb and under collateralize ourselves either. So really what price point should we support with the give token and what collateralization? Anybody have any thoughts? Anyone want to play with this calculator? You can. Yeah. What do you guys think? Did it make sense?
Well, for me, it makes sense. I mean, last week that we were talking a little bit about this was like, okay, 10 cents feels like far away. And I think it is. But with the market going down, I think, I think it's still good, especially because like the thing, it's supposed to be like very quickly we're going to create the buy wall, right? And then the price will be more protected from downward volatility. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I still think that, I mean, anything below 10 cents, it's like fairly protected.
Cool. Yeah, so maybe what I'll say is open discussion, but please come play with this calculator right now and pick your favorite number especially for, I don't know, maybe I'll do a targeted question. LTV is 75%. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think? Yeah, Willie, you're into it. Todd, Lauren, what do you think of LTV? No. Yeah. Like, for context, 85% is what a lot of people use, but it's a little risky.
Can you move it to 85 to just see how it moves?
Yeah. And so can you, because this sheet is totally editable. So anyone can go in here and mess around with these cells. Please just only mess around in the blue cells.
I gotta hop. I love the little calculator. Need to think about it, and I want to just make sure. I was just like looking at, how much, if in the event of liquidation, we need to make sure that there's that collateral could get liquidated and pay off the debt. So just considering like how much liquidity is there on the other side of Give on mainnet, and what would happen in the event that like if 16 million Give did have to get liquidated, or some amount of it basically. Is there enough liquidity to handle it and to make sure that we don't like end up with bad debt? Maybe that's just, I don't know, I guess the only things we can really do to help with that are to kind of like decrease our collateralization ratio or get more liquidity.
I think one of the cool things about this whole deal is that all the money we're borrowing is being put into the Angel Vault. So it's actually like whatever all of our debt is as liquidity on UniV3 that could be that would be sold into. But that being said, if the Angel Vault starts getting into, that eats into our liquidity. So
great point, for sure. Okay, cool. I'll see you guys in an hour or so. Thanks
okay, see you, man. Bye-bye. That's too bad. Willie's missing the best part. But yeah. Sorry, Katabe, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask again, like, what's the percentage, the Give LTV, what does that stands for?
So this is loan to value ratio, or I don't know if that's what it really is, but it's basically how much you can borrow. So if we put in $4 million, then we can actually borrow at 75%. We could actually borrow $3 million.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But then if the value of the Give token goes down to the point where this 20,000 Give isn't, if we borrow $1 million, then the 20,000 Give is worth basically $1.333 million, then we would get liquidated. So it's kind of like basically if the this LTV will change the price of liquidation, because it's like, okay, we borrow this 20 million Give, then at 7 cents, when do we start to get liquidated?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, these are two numbers. I don't know. I feel good about 75 and 400. Does anyone think that they should be changed a little bit?
Question, are we going to change these numbers after we borrowed the sufficient amount of Fey, or we're going to keep it as it is?
Well, so this would be what would this would control how much we deposit. So if we say that we're going to set the LTV at 75%, well, the LTV is at that percent. But then Give collateralization would be the number that we would use to decide how much Give we put in to borrow how much Fey. And the amount of Fey that we decide that we need is going to be based off of what our market cap will be after we get the one Give token. So our market cap is likely to go up to about 10 million, maybe even 12 million, because we're going to use so much Give to bring into the supply. So, but knowing that number, I need one more data point from Ichi about how much Give we would need to collateralize. Did that make sense? So like basically this 400% is almost a social parameter that would just tell us how much Give tokens we're going to deposit to borrow against.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the number that you say that it's based a lot on optics, right? I mean, it's just kind of like this 400 makes people feel more like, oh, okay, they're doing things safely and nicely.
Yeah, because honestly, if it gets down to 250 or something, we should probably inject a bunch more Give tokens, right? Like bring it back up somewhere.
Okay.
So yeah, okay. Well, these are my initial numbers. I'll let you guys chew on it during the call, and we can get to the really juicy stuff. Because I'm not feeling like a lot of like back and forth on it. Just like kind of mediocre, warm feelings. So this spreadsheet is the fun one, because this is where we get to debate how much we should give stablecoin for stablecoin deposits as rewards. So let me walk through it. And I really encourage you guys to go ahead and change some numbers once in a while. So desired Fey deposit. So this is how much, let's just do this. So this is saying how much Fey do we want people, wow, that's so small. How much Fey do we want people to deposit? And so then we would be borrowing against it. So if I'm assuming that we're borrowing 1 million Fey. I'll just make this blue. So if we borrow 1 million Fey, and we say we want 1.5 million Fey deposited, that means that we would have a utilization of 75%. So you can go down here. Oh no, I guess we have a utilization of 65%. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We'd be utilizing 65%. So now that means that the borrow rate that we would have to pay is 4.77%, right? And then the admin fees that we would be sending to donation.eth every 30 days would be $388. And the depositors, people depositing Fey, would get 2.43% in Fey back, right? So they'd be earning Fey, and they'd be able to withdraw more Fey than they put in, right? So they'd get this 2.43%. So we can say here, I can actually go here and say, well, the Fey deposit rate is going to be 2.43%. And then how long do we want to run the reward program for? You know, like, do we want to just run it for 30 days and then ramp it up? What's the current give price? Because that's how the APR will be calculated, by the give price. What is the admin fee? And then this is how much give we would put in for the rewards system. So you can see it's actually pretty cheap. Only 200,000 give for rewards for the give stream for 30 days. If we make it a 3-month program and we set everything's up in advance, then it's 3 times as much, right? And then we get to decide, like, what APR do we target? So right now this is saying 35%, but let's say we just want to target 20%. Look how much less the give stream goes down. That's so nice. And if we do target a 20% APR, well, then we're looking at this one about, right? And so we'd be putting in 17.5%. The liquid APR people who would be depositing Fey, they would be getting 5.3%. And then 14.6% would be like attributed to the give stream. So of their 20% rewards, 5% would be liquid, 15% would be streaming to them, right? So this is how this spreadsheet works. You can just ignore this. I used this just to estimate these utilization numbers based off of Giant Kin's like video of him scrolling through this thing. I couldn't get all of these numbers exact, so they're approximate. So you can totally ignore this stuff. In fact, I'll just make it gray. And then this is all assuming we're borrowing 1 million give. 1 million Fey. Okay. So that's the spreadsheet. I'm sure there's questions. I can't imagine that I explained that very well.
So my question is around the gift stream APRs. What determines kind of the APR? Is it the higher amount you put in, the higher APR you get?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't see it kind of clarified on that.
That's great. Thank you. That's a great question. I think it brings me to, like, let's look at this from a high level, right? So the actual functionality that we have to debate or decide is how many rewards, what do we put into our reward stream? You know, like, how much give tokens are we giving away? So we will have a set number of give tokens given away to every Fey depositor based off of how much Fey they deposit in every block. It'll be the same number in every block, right? And so, like, if we say we're giving away 100 tokens in every block, well, the give stream is 16% liquid and 83% streaming. Like, that's just the law, right? So the give stream is always this. Well, the give stream is this ever increasing percentage. Right now it's actually 16.32 or something like that, right? I'm estimating it will be 16.6 when we actually launch this thing. And so the amount of liquid give and the amount of streaming give will slowly change over time, where the liquid give is growing. And so we have to figure out how much give stream rewards to add to this thing. And once we set that, the less Fei deposited, the higher the APR. The more Fei deposited, the lower the APR, because there's going to be, if you're the only depositor and you put in $1,000 of Fei, your APR is going to be huge and you're getting all the rewards for yourself. Fucking epic, right? But that's probably not going to happen because those huge APRs, other people will ape in too, and so the market will end up determining its own APR. But what we have to decide is we have to make a guess of what APR we think will be attractive to make sure that we get at least, if we want to borrow, if we're estimating that we need to borrow 1 million Fei, then we need to get at least let's say $1.3 million in there, because at 75 this little junction right here in the chart is 80%, and so if we want to borrow $1 million and that ends up being 90% of the pool, as in like there's only $1.1 million in there, then we're gonna have to pay huge interest rate. We don't want to pay huge interest. So targeting, like in this case, when we set the desired Fei deposit, we're saying, hey, let's like pick 65% utilization. That gives us an interest rate of 4.6%. Totally cool. Obviously, if more people deposit, if there's 2 million in, our interest rate goes down a little bit that we're paying. So that's cool. That's fine. But we don't want it to go above this. So we want to make sure to have somewhat of a conservative thing to make sure that for sure we get this much Fei deposited. And so now, what APR is attractive to Fei depositors, especially given this weird like percent liquid and percent streaming?
So wait, the bottom section is basically like for reference, and then you're taking your favorite APR and putting it at the top, and you're like, this is how much Giveth would take. Okay, that makes sense.
So these are the parameters you can change, and yeah, exactly. The bottom one is reference, and then this is like the answer.
Wait, the Fei deposit rate is the APR that you get for putting in Fei, right? Like the Fei APR that you get for putting in Fei.
Yes. Fei APR is this, and it's an input, but you can get it off of this chart.
And what was it like in the DeFi for Good channel? People were saying that they would I think 20 to 30% on stables is pretty good returns.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think if we targeted like a 20% liquid APR, would that be really crazy?
So 20% liquid APR would be pretty crazy.
It's crazy.
Would need,
it's off the charts.
Yeah, we need to give them about 100% APR.
Can I ask about your color scheme? Like, is yellow kind of like you put yellow because you were like, I like these numbers, and then the white ones you're like, no, I don't think these are good.
Yeah, I kind of put yellow in here as like, I think the range that makes sense from my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, more than 10% liquid plus a big stream.
That's pretty nuts.
Like, honestly, I would, So, 10%, so 20% liquid is like you have to go into a kind of a untrusted like side chain like Ponzi scheme thing that's happening with Luna and UST, and I think it's like you earn 20%, but there's a lot of people afraid that that's going to collapse someday. Like a safe stablecoin return is really going to be between 5% when the market's going down to 15% when the market is pumping. And outside of that, like it would be all liquid. But, unless it's brand new and not many people have seen it, you're going to stay in this 5 to 15% range. The stock market supposedly earns 8 to 10% a year, right? On average. So if you're beating the stock market, like, oh my God, it's fucking madness. Then what's the scam?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So the idea right now is that we should just kind of like pick our favorite APR, right? Like we want to decide this within the call, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like, well, what APRs do you guys like? I mean, does anyone in here play with stable coins and invest them in the market? I see Todd smiling like he might.
I haven't done stable farming, so no, sorry.
I actually have just a little position on the Ponzi scheme of the Anchor protocol.
Nice, earning 20%.
16.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
I might have some here and there. 16, 20, that'd be good numbers, yes. A couple 40s, but those are kind of outliers and very risky. So I think 20 is pretty safe.
Yeah, what if we did like more like a 25% with the stream? That seems like pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That would mean
So if we
6%,
And how long, too.
6.3% liquid. Between 5 and 10% is kind of like what you were saying. Yeah. That seems pretty good. Wait, and this is assuming that there's 2 million Fey deposited.
This is assuming 1.5 million Fey deposited.
Oh, okay.
Well, and this number is these numbers don't change. The APRs down in this column don't change.
Yeah.
The answer is like how much give do we deposit, right, into the reward contract. So, yeah, it's in this case, this 1.5 million is only affecting this give stream calculation.
Yeah. Put in
So yeah,
25,
well,
put in 25%. I just want to see what it looks like. And then also I'm wondering, yeah, like, so how hard is it for us to restart the rewards again? Like, I was wondering the same thing for the Give farm. You know, is that like a lot of overhead or work? No, barely any, right? It's like we just
Barely any.
do some multi-sig transactions to allocate some Give, and then it keeps going out.
it would be is it a multi-sig transaction?
Maybe. Or Argive and Argive. I think it's multi-sig because it's the liquidity mining multi-sig, right? Where all the tokens are held for incentives.
No, yeah, but that's already this stuff is all in the distro. So it's really, if we to add a new one, we have to like deploy contracts and then add that as the distro, and then we would allocate a certain amount of Give tokens to this contract, right? And I think that is the multi-sig. You're right. So the multi-sig would decide to allocate some number of tokens, right? And then this smart contract can only give away that many tokens. But then we could always raise that allocation, and the multi-sig could change that and just add more. And then there's this bot that, every 2 weeks notifies the reward.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like it would take us like a day to extend the rewards, or 2 days to extend the rewards, basically. Just need a little bit of cat herding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, in general, I think...
And if we just, what we could do is we could just give an allocation to a smart contract that's much higher than whatever we want to allocate. And really, we could even just do a multi-sig transaction, not do a snapshot vote to change the reward weight up or down, or extend it. And it could all be social, because it would really be based off of that notify rewards bot.
Yeah, that makes sense. That seems like a good thing to do, and yeah, I think that's a good thing to do. And we could put like enough rewards there for 2-3 months. I think 3 months would be way too long, then we wouldn't need all that. And so it's like, but I do like the idea of kind of like setting it up, assuming that we'll get the Fey that we need within a month. But I don't think we're going to pay it all off in a month. So we do want the rewards to keep continuing. Yeah. And I mean, what we were talking about was like having these rewards. I mean, you were saying like you were using the comparison of like a person's annual salary. And it's like if we're paying this interest rate, it's kind of like just one person for a year or something. And I was kind of assuming that the idea is that it might take us up to a year to kind of pay it back. I don't know.
Yeah, or we never pay it back and we just pay this interest, right?
Yeah, but we have to pay the interest and we have to keep putting rewards through, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe we should look at the amount of give that we would need to deposit to run this APR for a year, right?
It would be 1.6 million give.
That's a lot.
But it's all in the give stream. So it's 1.6 million give in the give stream. So only 16% of that would hit the market, or 20%-ish in the year. But yeah, it's a lot. For a year. And so hopefully we either pay it back or we don't need it for the whole year. We buy it down at least a little bit. Maybe we can just continue to pay off our loan and, reduce the amount that we need deposited. Yes. Oh my God. I love that someone's going in there and changing it. Whoever that is, you're a hero. Yeah. So we can also change some of these things. Like once we're going, we could pay back our loan, and then it's like, well, we don't need this much FAE deposited, so let's lower the APR, and we can change as we go. But we do need to pick numbers for starting. So yeah, maybe we'll pass it around, and I'd just love to hear what you guys think for APRs. So Lauren said, yeah.
Yeah, just very quickly. Yeah, there's something that kind of like worries me, and I think it should be part of our communication, especially the people that are using OneGive, because if people start unminting OneGive, from what I understand, they will get the FAE. They will get FAE, or they will get and Give will be stuck in the kind of like over collateralizing, and then you have to buy on the market like stable coin with Give to replenish that. But if people are unminting, that will mean that there will be a continuous source like demand for FAE, and we'll need to supply more FAE, and then it will be hard to pay it back. So I think that what we will need is that people mostly exchange OneGive to Give, and then sell Give.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when the interesting thing is, we will be the only minters of OneGive to start.
Okay.
And then we put this in the pool. And if people are selling Give for OneGive and then unminting it, then they're taking FAE out. But that's if the price is going down, then we should have more FAE in there anyway. So like at least there'll be stability at the beginning, right? And then if other people start minting OneGive, because I hope and I assume that we will also create a farming pool for depositing into the Angel Vault. So anyone will be able to go mint OneGive, deposit it into the Angel Vault, and then earn a nice reward on top of the whatever fees you get from when people trade in your UniV3 position. You'll also get this we'll also give you farming rewards. So there will be, we will also generate another set of rewards for farming OneGive. and we'll have to parameterize that as well, like kind of like what kind of return. And I think this will be very much informed from this discussion because it's like another stablecoin, effectively, another stablecoin reward. It's not exactly a stablecoin reward. You end up, when you deposit one give, it does get converted into a fraction of one give and a fraction of give in the pool. So it's not actually stablecoin rewards, so it'll have to be a little bit higher than this, but at least we'll have kind of an idea of, also what kind of rewards, like how many one give LP deposits do we want? And then right away, we will be able to, if we like, once we start farming on top of the Angel Vault, we'll be able to, like pull out a little bit of our Angel Vault and pay back our loan and do whatever we need to do because now we're farming on top. So there's kind of this like work with Ichi, we have to get 10% just to start everything. And then, then we farm on top of it, so we'll have more than 10% in the wall. We can start paying back our loan, we can start doing other things. But then we'll also see, is the loan cheaper to incentivize than like the one give LP deposits? These things are crazy, we'll learn a lot once we get there and be able to make better decisions. This is why I was thinking like a month, because like I feel like after a month we're going to want to change a bunch of things because we'll have learned so much by doing it and seeing how the market reacts. But I also think that having 365 here to understand like what our yearly payment is to do this is also very interesting. But yeah, okay. Kotabe, did that make any sense? I don't know.
It made a lot of sense. It's a lot. It's very interesting, and definitely there's a big learning opportunity.
And then what APR do you think, Kotabe, that... Well, sorry, Lauren, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, I think probably 25% is really going to be attractive to people, like, while we're starting this up, and that we should, like, consider decreasing it, especially since, like, we want to maybe even incentivize, like, a one give XDI pair, and we also want to incentivize depositing the Angel Vault, but it's like, for starters, we're not going to have those things at all. We're only going to have this, so it's like, this is the new hot place to put your stable tokens, and I think 25% is a really happy somewhere in between reasonable and really attractive. Should I pass it to someone or? Yeah, I guess I'll pass it to Kotabe.
Oh damn! I really like that 25%. I sort of don't want to be a copycat, but I like it. It feels attractive. It feels outstanding without being too much. So I will detail on the 25%, 25 plus 25.93. Yeah, like it. I'll pass it to Todd.
I think this one is the kind of the higher the better. I know the traditional market tends to return anywhere between kind of 7 and 15%, but the traditional market doesn't recognize like symbiotic relationships in giving itself, like the value of giving, because it's all capitalist competition. So I think I would tend toward the higher, and I think we'll see in the future if that's sustainable, but we can review it over time. So.
Do you have a number for higher? Well, like 100% or?
Oh no. I mean, 25 I think is a good starting place. And who knows what the future will hold though. Giant King, have you gone? No, he's deafened. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't been really in the space with like trading or farming as much, but I guess I'm going with the comment from everyone else. And if we're leaning towards 25 and it's safe and we're okay with the, give stream amounts, I guess, let's go for 25. I just had a question. Where did we also get the fade deposit rate at 2.4%?
So that comes from when you have to look it up in this chart over here. So basically, the desired Fey deposit we're saying is 1.5 mil. And so then the utilization, you can actually come down here and be like, okay, 1.5 mil of Fey was deposited. That puts us at 65% utilization. And here's the 2.43 deposit rate. For instance, if we say, actually, we want 2 million deposited so that we have a lower borrow rate. Like if we have 2 million deposited, our borrow rate, our interest that we pay in Fey goes from 4.6% to 3.5%. So we save a percentage of interest. And then we would actually have a deposit rate of 1.29. And if we change that to 1.29, then that changes our liquid APR. The liquid APR would go down because they're not getting the Fey liquid APR. So the liquid APR would go down a little bit, and the give stream percentage would have to go up relative a little bit.
Cool, thanks. So then I pass it to, I think everybody went, right? You agree.
Yeah. So I'm thinking a little higher than 25%. Only, I think the market will bring it down, right? But I'd say I'd want to overestimate just to be conservative with things. I like I really like that you guys came to good consensus around 25 and maybe, but I would say somewhere around 30%. And then we get some nice second order effects of like lots of people coming to the Give farm. Maybe they also put some money into the other farms and we get some more liquidity that way. And it's like a nice stablecoin return. And then we see, basically, we would see what the market goes to naturally, and we would react after a month, And so, like, kind of like, because I think 25% is actually dead on. But then I would say let's overshoot it so that we can correct. And then, like, after a month, we correct, lower it, and then people maybe they leave their Fey. I bet a lot of people would leave their Fey. Some people might like eventually pull it out and put it in somewhere else. And we can, manage the rewards to make sure we have the Fey that we need.
Sorry, I something happened with my internet, but what was your number, Griff? I heard most of what you were saying, but what did you say?
30% as like a initial starting point, and then we see where the market brings it. But I agree. I think 25% is the right answer. Like, no one's gonna find a better stablecoin return than 25%. So.
Yeah, I think 30% is okay too if we want to overshoot it, but I also think we have a tendency to overshoot things, like in the Give farm. We always estimate that the APRs are going to be lower than they actually are. Like, I think the depositive Fey of, like, it'll be 25% or 30% or whatever when there's already over 1 million Fey in there, right? So that's going to take a while to get to. I don't really know. I don't know how quickly people will be depositing, but I imagine, like, what's our targeted goal for the amount of Fey that we kind of like want to maintain having deposited?
I think we should really shoot to have 1.5 million in there at least. And that means that if someone decides to pull out a bunch, it's not going to push us into some kind of situation like
So you think like the 1.5 million is sort of like the minimum to maintain? Okay.
Yeah. And we might also consider making sure that I wish Giant Kid wasn't deafened, but I really I wonder if we should make it so that no one can deposit more than 100K, like from one address. Make them pull out a couple addresses, and because if one person puts in $500,000 and then they decide to pull it all out at once, and we only have 1.5 million in there, that puts us at like huge APRs, and yeah, in fact, they wouldn't even be able to, basically. They wouldn't be able to pull out $500,000. Like, the protocol would be like, you can't pull that much out.
Why? How?
Because we have borrowed it. It's not there.
Oh.
So like, if they put in 1.5 million, right? And then we borrow $1 million, we literally take the fee out and there's $500,000 sitting there.
But is that really a problem? Like, I mean, if the protocol actually won't let them take it out, then, like...
Well, the problem is that then our interest rate will be, on this jump rate model, our interest rate will be like 100%, and we'll be paying really high fees.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like in theory if they were able to actually take out that amount. But you're saying that they would be limited.
They would be able to take out the $500,000, but they wouldn't be able to take out $500,001.
Oh, $500,001.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. Yeah, they wouldn't. I mean, unless there's some kind of buffer I don't know about, but there would be. I mean, at least in these hacks, they pretty much empty it. So I'm pretty sure they can take out the whole whatever's there, but they can't take out more than what's there.
But so it is possible though to limit the amount that people are able to deposit from a single address.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
That's why we need Giant Cube to ask.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe not. I know that there's like a borrow cap and a lending cap, and I know that there's for sure one for the entire amount. Like, we could say, and one of the parameters we need is like, how much phase should we allow there to be supplied? So like, if we, for instance, like if we put the cap at 4 million Fae, like that's the max people can even deposit. Right. And if 4 million come in, the APR would be, in this case, it would be about 16%.
Oh, weird. I'm not seeing it update.
It's not updating because if I've changed this isn't really connected in any way. But if I just change this, let's see.
Yeah,
so
you're just saying because it's like roughly twice.
If I can make this 177 again, then we're good. That would give us the APR.
Right.
So let's say 10. So the APR would be about 12%.
Yeah, makes sense.
But then we can put a cap, and it would never get lower than that because whoever put their money in would be earning 12%, and they'd be happy. And that would keep the utilization at 25%. Yeah, but we could also say 5 million or 10 million. We can put a cap on this, and I think we should put a cap on it. The question is where. Which is a great next question. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I mean, what does it affect? Like, I mean, if there's more in there, then our interest rate is lower. Why does
it affects liability, like how much it affects liability. It keeps as in like, if people deposit $10 million in Fae and then there's a hack, are we liable for $10 million? And at least culturally, we would want to have $10 million go back to people,
Yeah. Yeah. I think $10 million is probably more than we need. I mean, because like the way it positively affects things when people deposit more is because we have a lower interest rate.
Yeah.
But we're already kind of like, I mean, we would be happy with paying an interest rate if there was like 1.5 million deposited in there and we were borrowing like 1 million or 800K or something.
Yeah.
I think
I have a question. Sorry, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, it's okay. I was just gonna like say just a random number. Like 5 million seems like a reasonable cap. Somewhere like 5 million just seems round. Like it's half of 10 million. Anyway, go ahead, Katavi.
I have a question about how. So we're thinking we're the only ones that are going to put in their give, and the only ones that are going to take out Faye. And since with what Willie said that there won't be even a UI there, how will the UI work? I mean, will they be interacting directly with Ichi? With Rari, or will it be? Yeah,
There will be a UI there. We already have the UI. It's just that Tribe is not going to advertise other pools themselves unless the one. So like the UI will be there. We will not advertise the UI. We will have a little card on the Give Farm page that says deposit Faye here.
Yeah.
And then people will go to Give Farm, deposit Faye, and we'll borrow against it. And that's the story.
Okay, but there will be, a link that no one is going to advertise, where people will actually be able to deposit and withdraw, Pay and Give.
They wouldn't be able. Another variable. So they would be able to deposit Faye through that UI for sure, assuming we didn't hit the supply cap, which Lauren is 5 mil. And I like 4 mil. Not that it matters. And then, oops. So there's another variable though, which is the Give supply cap. So other people wouldn't be able to deposit Give because we will set our Give supply cap to however much Give we put in there. And then when we want to re-up it, let's say the Give price goes down, and we want to put more Give in to keep over collateralized, then we have to go change the Give supply cap, and then we have to send Give tokens in. So there will be this little, if we don't do that all in one transaction, then there could be this little span of time where someone could sneak in some Give really fast in that UI if they knew it was happening. But I don't know why anyone would want to do that. It doesn't make any sense. So.
Okay. Thank you.
So anybody else? Let's throw it to Yas. What do you think for supply cap for Faye?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking mostly connected to our Angel Vault, which we had also a cap there for 1 to 1.5 mil. So we don't need more than that. And considering on Rory, we should have, the excess in case, people would be borrowing or taking out their money. I think, something around 3-4 should be sufficient. We don't need to go too high with these amounts there.
Todd, you got any thoughts? Oh, you're not muted, but for some reason we can't hear you. I don't know if it's your headphones or what the story is.
Meanwhile, another question. So the more Faye there is, anyways, the APR, the less interest that they will gain, especially we're not borrowing, right? So market will impartially take care of people not oversupplying.
Yeah, the market will for sure but then if we don't understand the market and then this is like just a cap that sets that actually also set a minimum APR,
Because
no matter what if you're in here, then the minimum APR you'll get is, well, in that last case it would be it would have been 12%.
Okay. And in any case, there will be other people that could be able to borrow Fade, right? I mean, not only us, if there is like, say, 4 million or 3 million.
Nope. There would be no one else who could borrow the Fey because we would not allow any other deposits. So no one would have liquidity to borrow against. At least if we set the pool to only do what we're doing, then no one could deposit Ether or Fox or anything else and then borrow against it to borrow the Fey. Now we could open that up if we wanted, and that would increase people's APRs on their Fey deposits slightly. We're talking 1%. We're not talking like the Fey deposit rate ranges from 3.5% to almost zero, basically. So the max it would increase anybody's deposit rate is 3%. But if we allow other people to also borrow Fey, then we get in a borrowing competition and stuff like that. It gets a little dicey. I think that's why I started the first question off with do we just make it so that these are the only functions possible?
Okay, that makes sense. So I guess then for me, now coming to a number after all those questions, maybe it will be something between 3 and 4 million. Maybe, I will say 3.52. Because I think that will leave us, if we need more Fade for whatever reason, minting one give or, increasing our vault or anything, we have more to borrow. And there's not too much to kind of have. I mean, we will get in a problem anyways if that gets hacked, but at least less liability.
Yeah.
And we might not need idle money that it's making APR if we don't need it. So that's why I'm going for a bit of lower number.
What do you think, Todd?
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I guess my perspective would really be around how are we using the money that's being lent to us, and what is our, I guess, risk tolerance and ability to pay back money if something were to ever happen. I think 5,000 sounds good, though I don't really have any reference point for kind of our need. 5 million sounds good, but I don't really have any reference for our needs. So I assume part of that is going to the buy wall and the angel vault, and then I assume some of that is going to be used kind of as kind of free cash, free cash flow within the.
So the 5 million deposited, we would only borrow 1 million ish. I mean, whatever approximately we want, and then the extra 4 million would literally just sit there. And the benefits of having extra sit there are that if someone put in $1 million, for instance, and then they withdraw, well, it's not that big of a deal because there's 3 million sitting there.
Right.
But if we put the cap too low, if we put the cap at 2 million, and the guy tries to withdraw $1 million, he won't even be able to. And then there's other weirdness. There's less float. And if there's all of a sudden some really cool stablecoin pools come out, and there's new maker DAOs start popping up all over the place, and they're giving incredible APRs, and everyone leaves their pool, then you can't leave our pool because we borrowed all this, and our interest rate goes high. So it's kind of the float.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Giantkin is undeafened. Giantkin,
Sorry. Yep.
We were missing you. Is it possible to set a limit on the amount, like the amount that a single address can deposit in Faye?
No, I don't believe so. I think all we can do is a supply cap on the overall.
Okay, so like somebody could theoretically deposit like 1 million Faye into our pool from a single address.
Yes, or 10 million or something. Yes.
Oh my god.
We could put a front end cap.
Right. We could put the supply cap on, and what would we come up with roughly? 3 million or 5 million, or I don't remember now.
We were just debating it, actually.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel about things, but like here's kind of the utilization. I mean, you've seen it.
Okay.
Like,
yep. I'm on the right page now.
Do you have a preference of what we should put for a supply cap?
At least 250% over for the give. So as long as we're putting enough give in, it doesn't matter. I'd rather. I just don't want to be liquidated. That's all that matters.
Yeah. What do you think for the Fae though? The Fae, like, do you think that we should cap it somewhere?
How much do we need for Angel Vault if we do that way?
We probably want to borrow about $1 million.
Minimum.
Give or take 20%. And
right.
So we'd want to have like 1.5 mil deposited.
So, and we can always change it later, but what about a supply cap of 3 then? Just, that gives a little bit of room for some degen people and keeps our numbers lower if we, utilization and stuff.
Cool.
Because that means it's what, 30% if we borrow $1 million ourselves?
Yeah.
And you could probably go a little less than that, 2.5, 2. 2 is too low because it's 50. 2 million, I'd say 2.5. Sorry.
2.5.
Yeah.
So I think this makes 3.5 the winner, honestly. Because if we average this out, it will be about 3.5.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Nice.
Yeah. It's nice having you come in. Although, wait, yes, you said 3.5. Okay. Yeah, and then what I was saying, though, is to Lauren's point about a deposit cap, front ends are incredible. Even though it might not be in the smart contract, although we could even put it in the smart contract, but no, I guess we can't. It's their smart contract.
Yeah.
But we could just say like, oh, sorry, you can't, and we could track it with a small little database of who put in how much, and when they sign in, when they start making transactions, they can only put in this much Fae.
Yeah, that sounds complicated. But on that front end, on the give page, you're gonna have to make it so that you can see that, right? So
Yeah.
that the total available depositable. Jeez.
I believe one thing that we can do is at least the stream is on our side. So yeah, if someone deposits too much, like there could be an effect on the stream. Maybe, I don't know if that makes sense.
That's a lot harder, because then we have to change smart contracts. But we'd have to change a smart contract. But actually, adjusting the front end is really easy. It's just like, oh yeah, this button, when they go to the little input field, like how much do you want to put in? You put in max. Oh, sorry, you can't. The button grays out. Sorry, you can't click it. And you're like, oh, what? Well, yeah, you could go to phase like UI, and you could actually deposit as much as you want. But if you're using our UI and senior rewards and all of that stuff, you wouldn't be able to actually deposit more. And yeah, and that wouldn't be so hard. And I think only insiders would really know that they could deposit more, or people who look at our code. But also, they could deposit more with a second address, but then there's extra gas fees and such. So, we can always say, of course you can deposit more and you can use multiple addresses and it's not a big deal. But it's important for us that you do use multiple addresses because then, there's some friction there, and when one person withdraws, they can't withdraw a fuck ton and then do weird things to the market.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and we can just make it in the design. Quick question. This will take after this meeting and after we pick these params, how long will it take to set it up? I mean, it's just a matter of a few transactions on the Rari pool we already have created, and then it's kind of on our team with design and developing that front end, right?
Yep. Probably more than just a few transactions, but I think
that's going to be our bottleneck.
Giant definitely, it's our bottleneck.
Yeah, so I should get pushing on that now.
Yes.
And we'll also need to make DAO votes.
Okay, cool.
That's true.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I try to wait for the gas to be down to 20-30s before I start doing the changes, and then I do as many as I can before it goes up. That's all.
Yeah. Well, this weekend, if you want to have, weekends are the best. I found that Saturday
weekends, midnight, 4 or 5 a.m. Yep. So that's how I've been doing it.
Yeah, early morning. Yeah, that's really good. Okay. So I think maybe one more round of targets on any of these. Does anyone have any strong feelings about any of these assumptions? We have a give price of 20 cents. That's an important assumption. If the give price changes, we should change it. We should put in the give price here to get this number. I feel like whatever the give price is at the time, if it goes up a bunch, and we shouldn't just put in more rewards, If it goes down a bunch, we shouldn't put in less rewards. Or we should put in, anyway. Days to run, I really liked what Lauren had to say about maybe we just overshoot it and over allocate it on the technical side. I think that makes sense. And then we can change the actual reward rate via, there's one key that changes the reward rate every 2 weeks. So we use that in a proposal. Yeah. What about total APR and Fey deposited? Do you guys still feel pretty good on these things? Any thoughts there?
Putting it at 30% isn't a bad idea. Honestly, I think the difference in give tokens as well isn't going to be that significant, right? 200,000 give. It's not such a big thing for the.
In a month, it's 30,000 give tokens in the give stream.
Yeah, that's not so much.
Yeah. And I really like overshooting for the marketing opportunity too.
I think so too. Yeah, especially just starting it out, it's we want it to be extra appealing.
Mm-hmm. And then we can plan on lowering it once we hit the market.
Yeah.
And if we have a supply cap of 3 mil, then or 3.5 mil, then our borrow rate, the deposit rate goes down to 0.5 if they cap out, which it might.
I guess that's what everybody thought. 3.5 seems low, no?
3.5?
Yeah, I stepped away when everybody was offering their opinions on 3.5 million. Is it? I guess there's a lot of good opinions for that. I can also watch the recording.
Well, it's just more limiting our liability if there's a hack.
Did we really look into the details of what was happening with these hacks?
Yeah. The other thing that it does is it, like, for instance, if we set 30, if we set 30% as the APR, then the total, if 3.5 is the cap, then the total APR would actually be, the minimum APR that anyone would receive would be 13%, which is pretty nice. There is like a nice thing of that, like we'll have to show on the card, like, oh, it's capped out, no one else can put money in, you know, and then people might even be coming back and like, I want that 13%.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And again, also with all of these variables, everything here that we're talking about, we can change.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 3.5 is cool.
I kind of think it should be 4 as well. Four feels like the right number to me, but I also like, I think 3.5. I think starting lower is better than starting higher, hitting the cap and that stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like the lower we make the cap, then the more likely the scenario is like when somebody takes out like a bunch of. I mean, I guess, yeah, we're going to limit in our front end the amount that any one person could deposit, but it's like the more vulnerable we are to the situation of somebody taking out a bunch of their Fae, and then we're like, oh shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then like being hit with high interest rates and kind of like this like scrambling thing. It's like the more extra that's allowed to be in the pool, the more like protected we are against the big market movement.
But if we need 1 million, that's already 3 times what we need.
No. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'd say it's twice what we need, because if we want 1 million, we need probably about 1.5 to feel safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 isn't too far off. It's not that much difference, really.
No, it's not.
I like going with the crowd here. There was good crowdsourced information on this 3.5. I feel like wisdom there.
So if I change my number up to 3, I think our average goes up.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to change my number to 4.
No, we're changing numbers now? Damn it. Okay, let's see what we got. It's a debate. It's a debate. Okay, so I also say 4. Let's not do percentages, huh? So I also say 4. Yes, you say 4. Todd, what do you say?
I said 5.
You're sticking with it?
I'll stick with 5, yeah.
I mean, the average game isn't fun. Like, I want to see what everybody else says so I can just pick the number to get it to me what I want.
Oh, okay. Delete. Okay. You'll have to do the math in your head. What number do you want, Lauren?
I don't know. I mean, I said 5 initially. I'm okay with 4 as well. 3.5 seems like, oh, it's getting to be a little. And I don't really see like huge advantages to making it. I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. But I guess I'd be cool with like 4 or 5. I'd also be cool with 3.5 if that's what people think.
And let's see, who am I missing? Katabe?
Yeah, no, still 4. Let's say 4.
And Giant Kin, did you say a number?
I was going to raise mine to 3.
You're going to raise it to 3. Very nice. Let's see. Average 4.08. Okay, let's just go with 4. So put this in here. 4M. Okay, so at 4M, let's say that we have this at 30%, and we have this at 150. So we'd have a give stream of 181. And if we have 4 million Sorry, now I wish I would have made this. I wish I would have made this math as
Auto, yeah.
yeah. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't know this was coming. Yeah, cool. So the minimum APR would be 11.5%. Pretty nice. If we do 30%. And of course, at 11.5%, I don't actually have this even as an option, but I can add it here. I didn't think we'd even think about going this low. Well, like I didn't prepare for us figuring out what a minimum APR would be.
You should have said that. Should have said that tomorrow. Dang it.
Yeah. So at 11.5% APR, oh yeah, 0.5 utilization, 0.36.
Is this on the stream? So would you go? I mean, could you just up that somehow in the numbers instead of being 180,000, it automatically changed. Nice.
Yeah, I just changed the deposit rate a little bit.
Okay.
And then because to match what the deposit rate would be, the Fay deposit rate. And so if it's 11.5% minimum, so it's going to be pretty close to this. And they would get like liquid 2% APR and APR from the give stream. Total APR would be 11%. And then the liquid APR would be 2.2%. I think it'd be like maybe some people would deposit there, but I bet we don't hit the cap, you know? Like maybe. Hey Willie.
What's up, y'all?
Oh, we're just having lots of fun discussions playing with the APR game. So and I would love to hear your thoughts, initial thoughts without any like context, but like what do you think is a good stable pair reward rate? Like here's the GiveStream APRs, right? Total APR is the number they'll see on the card. The actual APR in Fay, well, let's just say it's around 2%, right? And then their GiveStream APR, their liquid APR is like this column, right? That's how much they take home they could sell right away. And then here's their APR from the GiveStream. Like, where do you think the market will settle?
Yeah, and this is just for Fay deposits. Let's see here. I like having a total APR in that like 20 to 30% range. And then that's column C, that includes the Fay APR they'll get. Yep.
Yeah. So this is liquid. This is streaming.
I think that's a healthy place to start, and then we can always increase it if we don't get enough deposits with it. It still seems like a pretty solid immediate claimable, plus that long-term claimable is nice.
Yeah. So you're thinking like 25%, 20%, 30%, somewhere in that range? Like if you had to say a number?
Yeah, I like 25% as that like displayable APR that people see.
Okay. Nice.
What did you guys? Nice.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we were considering overshooting it, but like just because it's better to be on the overside than the underside. But yeah, so it's like we're targeting. I think the target would be 25%, or like if we set the target, let's say 30%, we could set the target to be 30% if 1.5 million Fay is deposited, right? And then, or we set it at 25% if 1.5 million Fay is deposited. And then if more Fay is deposited, then the APR is less. If if less Fei is deposited, then the APR is more.
Right. Yeah, I think if we're already doing it based on 1.5, so if we're already overshooting it there, then we could do the 25% APR for 1.5.
So if I would say 1.5 isn't overshooting because we want to borrow $1 million.
Oh yeah,
borrowing $1 million.
Yep, that's right.
So if we assume we're borrowing $1 million and there's only 1.5 deposited, like if we take out that $1 million, there'd be 500K there, and only 2/3 of people could even withdraw, or 1/3 of people could even withdraw if they wanted to, without other people waiting for other people to deposit.
That's the 75% utilization instantly, then, right?
No. The utilization is based on how much of our available borrow limit we're using. It's not based on like how much of the supply, is borrowed. But yeah, so I that makes sense. I see now that we're 1.5 is not overshooting. That's our target. So yeah, I think it makes sense to maybe put 30% APR just to be a little conservative. It makes sense.
Yeah, so then if we put 30%, so like, let's see, if this is 5% is 41. So 30%, okay, so 30% is this 172. And if we do 25% here and make this 2 million, let's say, oops. So it would hit 25% at like 1.8 million deposited. Somewhere between 1.8 and 1.9, it would hit that 25%.
Cool. Interesting. And I just thought, so we're planning to run this for 30 days, or I guess we're talking about that right now. And the idea would be just to get people in there and then hope that once it's in there, it's probably going to stay.
I think we would schedule to run it longer, but I think after 30 days or even after 2 weeks, we would understand the market and we would want to change the reward rate.
Got it. Cool.
I like the 30 days just to see the math of like how much it's going to cost us for 30 days, right? Mm-hmm. So like this is 172,000 give, but in the give stream.
Mm-hmm.
So, only 16%, 17% will be liquid.
Cool.
But yeah. Yeah, so the other thing, and yeah, I think we're pretty much in agreement in this 25 to 30% range is like the sweet spot. And the other thing that we're debating is the Fei supply cap. So like how much Fei should we allow people to deposit? Some interesting effects of the deposit rate is if, for instance, if we pick this 30%, then if we actually have a cap, let's say the cap is 4 million, then we end with a minimum of, in this case, we end up with a minimum APR, which is kind of cool, around 13%. So if people actually deposit to the point where we fill our cap, there's a minimum APR, which is kind of interesting. But that 13% APR, it's only 4%. Oh, this would actually be less. Oops. Percent sign is important. So, yeah, there we go. So yeah, so then the liquid APR would only be 2%, and the GiveStream APR would be 8%, and it's probably like, I don't know, 11.5% with so much of it streaming. Not so attractive, It's like I feel like we wouldn't even hit our max, which is probably where we want to be. But in case we underestimate the market demand for it, or stablecoin farms dry up, and this is a great option anyway. At least we're limiting the pro of it is we're limiting our liability, if a fuse pool gets hacked, hey, $4 million, like, Giveth, we can figure something out. You know, especially with Faye and stuff, we can figure something out.
Yeah, I like the supply cap, just better safe than sorry, to your point. And it's the responsible thing to do. I know Ichi got called out because they didn't have supply caps, and our team was like, "Oh, it's an easy thing they could have done just to mitigate risk." And I'm sure that if they could have gone back in time, they would have done something like that. So I support the supply caps just to be responsible, and I don't expect we'll get that high, but it's possible.
Where would you put the supply cap?
4 million sounds like a good number. It also seems like it's maybe a little bit higher than it needs to be. But I don't see a super strong reason to make it like 3 million versus 4 million. So
the reason, so the benefit of having a supply cap is, let's say somebody, or having a higher supply cap, let's say somebody puts in $1 million in the pool and then just decides to withdraw it. Then they're really, you know, like from 4 million to 3 million, no problem. 3 million to 2 million we start thinking about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But probably still not a problem, right? 3 million to 2 million, not a problem. And I don't think anyone's going to put more than $1 million into this pool. But who knows? And we're also, another thing is we're talking about putting a front end, like just putting a personal cap per address on the front end. Now, of course, they can go around it by going to Rari's front end, you know, and they can hack around it, but they can also hack around it just by using multiple addresses, which is what we would advise. But then, you know, we just be like, yeah, go around it, use multiple addresses, totally cool. But we want, you know, only 100K per address, and then when you're withdrawing, you can only, you know, at least there'd be some time, you know, delay and cost the extra gas and these little frictions.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's a good argument to not stop. If someone wants to deposit and we're at 3 million, I think we would welcome that deposit. And yeah, I hope that reminds me, just having it on our own UI and stuff, maybe we will be able to attract some more stable deposits because of that. We'll have this like next to the Regen farm, and it's a cool way to earn yield in your stables that supports good. So, I like 4 million.
Nice.
Question.
Okay, well, yeah.
100K, we're going to say, we keep just like throwing that as a random number out. 100K per address. Is that something we want to like discuss a little more? We're just like, 100K per address seems like a reasonable front end cap.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Well, it's hard to know what we would want until we know exactly. Like if we're going with 300%, or sorry, 30%, I feel a lot better about having a higher cap because, like, yeah, I don't think, yeah, 30% with 1.5, like, I like 100K there because, like, we're borrowing, you know, $1 million, and that means 5 people could withdraw 100K. And that's probably good, you know? That's like at least something. And like, yeah, I mean, by the time those 5 people will withdraw, like more people would deposit probably because the APR would change enough. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? What's a good number for? I definitely don't want to get it too low because, you know, how many people are really going to deposit into this pool of those kind of numbers? Like, we probably want to have a couple of whales. We're just going to put it there and let it sit. And, you know, that would be nice. And of course, they still can, right? Because they can use 4 addresses and put in 400K.
Or just go straight to the contract rate and do it there. Yeah.
Or even go to the Rari pool, or like, you know, Rari pool 167 and do it there. Unfortunately, they won't see the APR. They won't have it won't be as nice. That's for sure. But
yeah, I can definitely send both ways. Go ahead, Katabi.
Okay. I think that with a 4 million cap, I don't know. Maybe I will go a bit upper on the wallet cap. Maybe to 50. I think that still wouldn't hurt us that much. I mean, if we do our closed source supply cap.
Anyone else want to throw out a number?
Yeah, I was thinking 250 if we go for the 4 million cap. 100 sounds reasonable too. $150 in between.
And when you feel solid on a number, you can pass it.
I'll pass to yes.
We're just throwing numbers, I guess. So 150.
Good choice.
I'll pass to thanks, Laura.
I don't have an opinion. I that's a good range.
Okay, then do you want to pass it? I think Todd and John can. You get to pick.
Okay, to Todd.
I'll say 200,000.
John can.
I'm gonna go 300,000.
Oh.
Did I win? I feel like Price is Right. Isn't that still on?
Yeah. So the average is 191. I guess we would just say 200 for round numbers, huh?
Yeah. I like it.
Agreed.
I mean, I don't want any one person putting more than 200K in our pool. I mean, when it's not give tokens, I feel cooler about it, but when it's just like stable coins, like, oh shit, a little scary.
Well, my thing was I was hoping that the tribe might get involved themselves.
Well, and I was thinking, again, with the Shapeshift Turbo, we'll be able to mint, Fey, and deposit into Rari pools. So definitely we'll try and make the case for us to deposit some. But we can always, maybe we don't want to go over 200, but a DAO could always make the decision that they want to take some of their treasury and go bigger than that. So.
I mean, and we can't stop them. Honestly, this is just for our front end. So
that's true. Yeah.
If a DAO goes to the Rari pool directly and however Turbo is going to work, where you can auto deposit into some other pool, this is like a bullshit cap. We're not. It's not even fair. It's not even right. I feel dirty even doing it. But hey, UX is UX, and I'm sure that it'll stop. It'll stop a couple whales from taking all the rewards and let some smaller people play.
I like it.
Okay, so I think we have all the numbers, and we have 3 minutes left. The only thing we didn't really talk about is whether the admin fee should go to donation.eth or Giveth. And I just wanted to show you what the admin fee looks like. So it depends on our utilization. So if, like, for instance, we have a 4 million cap and we hit the cap, then the admin fee will be about $140 a month. And if it's, if let's say it's, we're just skipping by, maybe it goes to like 400, maybe some crazy times $500 max a month. Where should we send that money?
If it's $400 a month, donation.eth.
That was my thinking exactly. Just because of the amount, I think it makes more sense to donation.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make like a huge impact on the DAO overall if we like take it and send it to Giveth.eth, and then it's also like good vibes and like really it adds. We want to call it a regen pool. It's like justification for calling it that.
Mm-hmm. Willie, what do you think?
I don't want to argue against donations, right? But and I definitely I hear those points, and I'm for that. The other, I guess, the counterpoint would be that it would be nice just to have some like revenues, sustainable revenues, even if they're small, coming into the DAO treasury. And we could always decide that we wanted to like take those to donation.eth, but it gives the community just a little bit more flexibility there. And we still get a lot of the Regen pool vibes. Like if it's going to Giveth, it's funding development of open source public goods. But yeah, it's a small amount, so I don't have super strong feelings. I just wanted to, I guess, share the other argument. But I would be happy with either. I think it's cool to have just a little bit of funds either going to DAO treasury or to donation.eth.
And the other thing to mention is that we're paying this. Right. So I mean, but later on, it's a lot harder to change it later. If we want to like push Regen pool forward and we pick give.eth now, then we can leave it at give.eth if we ever decide to, start letting people deposit Ether and deposit Fox and deposit, maybe this is part of, people could deposit Colt, for instance, into the Regen pool. Maybe all the Regen farm tokens. Or, we could play things. And if we don't enable give.eth now, it'll be really hard to change it later. I think that's the best argument for give.eth.
That's a good argument.
Yeah.
I would change my mind just based on that.
I vote for donation.eth. I don't really care about revenue models. I think that we can do better off with like economic models and focusing on that. I'm not against revenue models, but yeah. That being said, that's how I feel. Todd, yeah. Oh, your sound's not working again. Kotabe?
Oh man, I was initially the one that wrote donation.eth, but that was a good argument against yourself, Griff. I don't know. I'm not ready to respond right now. No janking, Todd. Yes, you're still there.
Yeah. Is it possible that like we send it to Giveth and then once in a while when it's meaningful, like pass on a vote and then send it to donations? Like every quarter or every 6 months? Do we have the flexibility on the other side?
Of course.
If we could do that, we could just donate it if we wanted to as a DAO.
So maybe like use it as a revenue stream and then donate it as a DAO to have like both flexibilities and options.
That's what I like.
My vote is donation.
And Willie, what do you say?
I said great point. Yes. Yeah, I think all things considered, I like the flexibility of having it go to give.eth. We can still do donations from give.eth if the community wants to, but we have the flexibility. And it'll be nice to start just getting some revenues coming into the DAO and stuff. Even if they're small, hopefully those will grow over time. And it's a nice, basically gives us a little bit more of an incentive if we do want to dedicate some resources to really expanding the Regen pool and making it the Regen pool for lending. There'll be more of a direct incentive to the community to do that. And I could see that as a possible future for sure. So it's nice to have that available.
Nice. Okay, so we got 2 for donation.eth, we got 4 for give.eth, and 1 undecided. So I think for that one, and I kind of figured we would always go to the community for this one. It's just it's a good question, and I think there's good arguments for both. So yeah, and then we're yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say we're over time. The only one I don't have a great answer for is this LTV. I'm going to go with this, but if I'll propose this in the forum, and I hope that you guys can give arguments for or against the give LTV number of 75% and give collateralization of 400%.
Can you put it in the forum and explain it again? Because I already it was right at the beginning of the call, and I felt like, what are we talking about? And now I I think it would help if you just put a little explanation on just that param.
Definitely.
Hey, everyone, I have to hop to another call. Thank you all.
And,
Thanks, Adam.
I think we should all hop off because I want to honor all of our times, and 2 hours is a long time. So I feel like we did a great work, though. We got our numbers, and we'll put in the forum, and we'll move on.
Thank you so much, Griff. You are the best. You did a great job organizing this and facilitating.
+1. Thank you, Griff.
Thank you, Griff.
Thank you all for coming.